very much. Thank you very much, Tim, for that wonderful promotion that I've been given. Yeah, thank you very much. I mean, and thanks for inviting me to come along and speak today. It's great to see some of these old faces. I met a lot of you previously when I worked for EE, when I worked for BT, when I worked for O2, and when we were discussing mobile network operator digital identity APIs, what Adri was talking about earlier today. When I joined the London Stock Exchange, I didn't realize prior to joining the London Stock Exchange what a major area or how important the risk intelligence area of the London Stock Exchange is. And when I moved into the London Stock Exchange, the product that I've started to working with is very much like the KYC API that we were working with, and we were discussing together at EE, when I was at EE. So basically, we're talking about companies that are onboarding customers. They're getting mobile phone numbers, they're getting names, addresses, date of births. And then what they were doing is they were passing it to the mobile network operators, and then we were comparing that to our CRM databases, and we were matching it. So we weren't giving any data in the clear, we were just matching it, and then confirming, yes, there is a Tim Green at this address and this date of birth. When I joined the London Stock Exchange, what I realized was they had over 400 authoritative, independent, local data sources globally. They had those data sources, they have those data sources in about 65 different countries. And those data sources cover about 86% of the world's GDP. And those data sources are then, they're organized in like a waterfall validation process. And those data sources are everything from telco information, right, which we're talking to some of you guys about. It's government data sources, it's utility data sources, it's postal data sources, it's also like proprietary data sources, credit data sources like the credit bureaus, and it's also like commercial data sources. So one of the things that surprised me was just the breadth and the depth of these data sources. So some of the data sources, for example, some of the commercial ones are like sweepstakes data, coupon data, and voucher data. And I did ask our head of product, I said, can companies rely on this, right? From a KYC, KYB perspective? And he said, oh yeah, this is authoritative, independent, local data sources, right? Otherwise they wouldn't be integrated, they wouldn't be maintained. But what that actually means is, whereas you might be able to cover 80%, you might be able to do your KYC, your KYB checks on 80% of the adult population using a credit bureau, right? An Experian, an Equifax, a TransUnion. If you have those extra data sources, right, like sweepstakes data, it enables you to hit the hard-to-reach demographics, right? And that I think is what's really key. Because when you're doing the onboarding and you reckon on losing about 40 to 50% of your people when you're doing the onboarding process, if you can use a company like the London Stock Exchange that has that breadth of data, and you can increase your successful KYCs by, on average, 21%, and you can lower your drop-offs by about 17%, that should drastically reduce the cost of onboarding your new customers. So basically what I'm talking about is I'm saying we're not confirming who you're talking to. What we're confirming is that the data that has been submitted to you, that you've passed the London Stock Exchange, is a real person. It's real data. So you pass us, like I said, Tim Green at this address and this date of birth. We will go into our waterfall and we might try and match it against our government data. No match, fails over to the telco data. No match, fails over to utility. Oh, we get a match, a partial match. Maybe it's an AML, maybe it's anti-money laundering you need to do, and you need 2 by 2. We get a match on postal data, and then we fail over again to a proprietary database, and we get another match. That's the idea. So So it's confirming that the data is valid, but not that the person you're interacting with is actually Tim Grain. It could just be somebody with Tim Green's data. But then the London Stock Exchange within the risk intelligence area have other products, right? Like document and biometric verification. So then we can, once we've proven that this data actually belongs to a real person, we can then confirm that, and it is this real person that you're actually engaging with. So anyway, I said that I'd only be a few minutes, so I just want to, thank you for your time. If you've got any questions, I think my email address is there, and I will be hanging around for the rest of the day and hopefully making use of some of the drinks in the networking session.
Are you happy to answer a question?
And I'm happy to answer.
I'm
not saying I can answer it, but I'm happy to try and answer whatever questions you might
I think
have.
Mary's got a question.
Yeah, could you pass it along? Sorry. Oops.
Didn't mean to make things so difficult by being over here. There's just a quick question on what you just said, because it's like I understood the whole part at the beginning, but then you said suddenly that you would connect, then you would verify the human being behind the data. And like, I'm more curious then, if you've got all these other sort of checks, what is the piece that has you know? Because that's the part that I think one of the things that we're saying, oh, we can depend on the cell phone carriers or the mobile carriers for different things, but really what does that hinge upon for you guys?
So for us, what I am taking to the market is a data-based identity verification solution, right? It's a data-based identity verification solution. So so if you wanted to sign up for like an Airbnb, you'd say, Mary lives at this address and this date of birth. This is my telephone number. Then you would submit it to us, and we have those government data sources, utility data sources, telco data sources in all these different countries. It would just hit our waterfall process until we get a match, and we can confirm, yes, there is a Mary at this address and this date of birth. And what I was saying is, so that's product, that's number one. But that doesn't actually prove that somebody else didn't take your data, which they knew, and enter it kind of on your behalf. And that's why it's like a multi-factor authentication, really. So we've got another product, which is our document and biometric verification, so that if you also need, as part of your own journey, then to tie Mary's validated details, if you then need to tie it to ensure that we are actually interacting with Mary, that's when you would do like a check, like a liveness check, to check, that your face matches the face on the passport and what have you.
Same KYC type of checks.
Yeah,
okay.
KYC, KYB checks. So, I mean, mainly we're talking about companies that are trying to onboard lots of customers and doing it in multiple markets, in multiple regulatory jurisdictions.
Do we have more questions? I've just got one. Are you monetizing this? Is this a business?
Yes, we are monetizing it.
Since
That's
when?
Right. The London Stock Exchange bought a company called GDC. Have any of you heard of GDC? Yeah, so Global Data Consortium, which were big and I think very well known in the US, not so embedded here in Europe. And GDC has been around for years, and the London Stock Exchange bought them a couple of years ago. And now we're trying to trying to roll this out more in Europe.
Interesting. Okay, well, thank you very much for making time for us today, Allister.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.